Hi there guys, welcome back to Dad Plays Stuff and another Daemon X Machina PvP video. Now this one is more of a revisit to one of my builds that I was using just to see how viable it is and if I can update it a little bit more. So before we get into it, please leave a like, a comment and subscribe. So the build we're going to be looking at again today is my dual machine gun arm build. It's a pretty stable build, great for PvE, great for PvP, and it's been a mainstay from my general play throughout the actual game and for the PvP scene. Now let's talk about the meta for a second. The changes made with Devotion and the buff to laser weapons in general has created a whole new meta. We're seeing a lot more use of weapons that you wouldn't have seen before. We're also seeing less use of certain other weapons. Now, sniper rifles I still see quite a lot of, I'm not going to deny that, but I am actually seeing distinctly less of them. In turn, I'm seeing quite a lot of laser cannons, especially your charge lasers such as the, I think it's Ugly Envy and more particularly Salvation Ray, which has disgusting damage. If you've been shot with Salvation Ray, you will regret being shot by Salvation Ray. Now, as a result of this, we are seeing quite a lot of bad builds. People are trying to experiment with what is working now and what isn't. So inevitably people will put on defensive items in some kind of vain attempt to try and stop the laser damage from basically destroying them quite easily. Sometimes you see more speedy builds that unfortunately are like tissue paper, and other times you just see builds that are pretty much the same as they were before, and there's not a lot you can do about those ones if they didn't get nerfed. They still aren't nerfed. Now overall my opinion of the new meta and the changes is incredibly positive. I definitely think they've fixed the things that were incredibly broken. There's a couple of things that they still need to balance and tweak. Sniper rifles are still a bit heavily tuned, I feel, and they buffed them, so it just feels like they need something done to them. Miraging seems to have become a big part of the meta. We're getting quite a lot of people that just charge in, mirage, and then run away, so that their mirage will like melee you, and then they'll just spend the entire match running away from you. Gets incredibly boring incredibly quickly, and I've faced countless people like that, and you just kind of think to yourself, what's the point? I mean, you can't be having fun doing that. Surely not. Now, as I said before, the biggest issue with this build is ammo consumption. Now, you need to be really careful about spamming ammo. You can't just hold down the buttons and fire like you're in an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. You need to be able to pick your moments. It can be difficult at times because of the way the build moves and the way other builds move. It can be really disorientating. Sometimes you don't really see where the other guy is because he's above you, he thinks you're below him, and you're both trying to find each other because of how fast paced the game is. What I'd heavily recommend in situations like this is using mirages in order to try and lure your opponent into attacking it. Because I play incredibly aggressively, the opponent has a harder time figuring out whether the mirage is me or not, because the mirage is coming straight for him, and if I get the chance, I'm coming straight for him. So he's got a 50-50 chance that he's aiming his sights at me, and fortunately when people start thinking they know which one's the mirage, they tend to go all in a little bit more, and this gives you the opportunity to start shooting them. Now, this doesn't always work out, and some players are significantly more aware and smarter than others. Um, but yeah, the kind of benefit of this build, if you play aggressively, is that they are going to have difficulty separating whether you are the Mirage or not. Now, the biggest weakness of the builds that we're seeing at the moment is their femto consumption. As a result, they don't tend to use Mirage very often. This is a factor, as I just said. Use your Mirage well, and yeah, you're going to be able to confuse your opponent. On top of that, the Mirages deal damage. So if you're able to deal the damage at the same time as the Mirage, while your opponent can't use a Mirage, only against laser weapons obviously, and if they do use the Mirage, they're then limiting their amount of firepower. They're basically stopping themselves from being able to attack you directly. They have to leave it to the Mirage. And if you and your Mirage take out their Mirage, then they're sitting ducks basically. It's quite a good thing not to be using femto weapons at times. Now, something this build really does well against is heavy enemies. So if they're armoured and slow, they're easy pickings. You can basically just rotate around them and shoot them while they don't know what's going on. Now, you'd think in most cases that your shot per shot isn't going to be doing that much, but when you think of the sheer amount of bullets the machine gun arms pump out a second, it racks up really quick. When it comes to shields, however, I've found a little bit of disparity between my damage. You kind of have to focus them and try and get enough damage on that damn shield so that it breaks. Once the shield's broken, then you have the opportunity to start dealing some real damage. And I've had a couple opponents who have had their shield out, they've not been able to track me very well, I've just gradually wore down their shield, and finally when it's broken, they have not been prepared for the stark increase in damage to them. It's went from literally just a couple of single digits to 10s, 20s, 30s, and they panic at that stage. This next battle is one I wanted attention drawn to. This guy annoyed me to an extent because he was just one of so many people playing like this today, and he was the highest ranking one I found, so I just felt like showing why this is a bad strategy. Now, I'm going to go out there and say I am not the best PvPer, not by a long shot. I'm better than some. I wouldn't even go as far as say I'm better than most. I am better than some. But what the way this guy plays is just garbage. It is really boring, really tedious, and it always ends in a timeout. It's just, you know, let's play a game that's for fighting, but let's not fight. If you want to go play a game like that, go play a game where you actually have the choice not to fight. You know, like a RPG like Dragon Age or something like that, where you can talk your way out of situations, or Outer Worlds where you can talk your way out of situations. Now, I'd guess this player was heavily reliant on devotion in the previous patch. As you can see, he immediately, without any hesitation, goes into the healing barriers and tries to get back what little health that was taken off him, which seems really strange at this point in the battle because it's nowhere near done and he hasn't taken enough damage, but clearly he wants to get that VP advantage over me early on rather than try and get it back later on, which quite a few people do as well. It's a tactic that I don't exactly think it's cheating, but it's one that I would certainly frown upon in a fight that's going quite even. I mean, if somebody is employing really cheap tactics like the whole backing off and running away and letting their Mirage do the damage and then running away again, then yeah, I'd probably use it against them. Cheap begets cheap. But in an actual fight where you're both, trying to win and doing quite well against each other, countering each other with your movements, all that kind of thing, I'd like to think that people would have enough honour to not use it. However, clearly you can see that given any opportunity, he will immediately hide behind billboards, underneath bridges, buildings. It's not even like he's hiding to try and lure me in because I'm not chasing him. Like, for example, I do that when somebody is just constantly backing off from me. I'll just go and hide behind a wall until they come round and try and attack me. He's just running away and hiding. And all he's trying to do to win is to deal that tiny smidge of damage more. And while some might say it's a viable strategy, I still say it's a boring one. I mean, I don't want to be sitting about for 5 minutes in every match waiting for my opponent to do something. I mean, why play such a fast-paced game if you're going to have such a slow victory? It boggles my mind. I'm not a fan of that playstyle at all. And don't get me wrong, if you are, fine. Just please don't fight me. I really don't want to be stuck in a fight for 5 minutes where both of us have like 98 or 97 health. And we're just gonna sitting with our in our hands. So I'd like everybody to make a comment down below about their current experiences with the meta, what they've enjoyed, what they're not enjoying, and what they hope to see in the future. I certainly do like seeing lasers getting some play. I've tried to use Salvation Ray, it just doesn't seem to work for me. I don't know what I'm doing wrong in particular. I just can't really land much hits with it, and I can't really like the charging, it doesn't work with my playstyle, I find. Then you've got the Stargazer, which I've had relative success with. It's a decent little weapon, does decent damage, decent fire rate, and pretty damn good accuracy. So I'd heavily recommend that if you're thinking of a laser build and the charge lasers just aren't your thing. I'd personally definitely like to see more play of the acid guns. You just don't see them enough in PvE or PvP. They're quite an interesting kind of thing, and I just think it's a good concept that just hasn't been utilised properly. But then again, it's early days in terms of the PvP for this game. This is only the second proper patch, so I'm expecting good things. They've done well for their first two. Let's hope the third and beyond goes really well. Just to put this up here, this is a reason why this is not a viable strategy, and you really shouldn't risk your BP for it. And this is the build. The main change that I have done is the chest piece has been replaced with a Hetoconica or whatever the hell. You can see it on the screen either way. Really good armor, really fast, good piece of kit. The rest, relatively the same. So once again guys, that's the video. Thank you very much for watching, and if you did enjoy this video, don't forget to leave a like, a comment, and subscribe. And for any of you guys out there that are interested, I will be streaming Pokemon in the next couple of days once it's properly out. And for anybody who's interested, I know it's a bit of a divided subject in the community at the moment, whether the game's good, gonna be good, all that kind of crap. But I'm gonna play either way. I love Pokemon. So if you want to see a grown-ass man play a game that you could argue was made for children, come ahead and watch. Now, enjoy your evening and have fun, guys.